Hi. I don't want to be doing this. I just want to be very clear about that right now. A friend of mine challenged me to make a video and took me up on my dare that he do it first before I would do it. So this is to my friend Mike. Very good swimmer, except for he can't do flip turns and probably can't dive either. But he's very good at mocking people and pushing me to do something that I don't want to do. Uh, but he thought that I might have a compelling story to tell people. Um, I'm in a wheelchair, and it all happened almost 5 years now, coming up on 5 years in November, where I had I went into a doctor for a regular routine physical exam. Um, I was in perfect health. I was a competitive swimmer. I was 60 years old and could still break a minute in the 100-yard sprint. I could still do dives, not like I did in college, but still enough to get the kids interested in watching and enjoying it. Uh, but then I made the mistake of saying yes to a shingles vaccination with my doctor, and I to this day I don't know why I did that because I never got sick. I've never had a flu. I've never had a tooth cavity. So why did I think shingles was going to get me? So I got a shingles vaccine. I immediately had nerve issues in the preceding days or the succeeding days after that, and a lot of leg spasms. My wife would prepare a salt bath so I could get relief from all of that. And then a month, I want to say about a week after the shot, um, I was just driving and my right arm died. It just completely died. It was like it had a nerve block. I couldn't move fingers or my hand or anything. So I went to emergency, and they got me back to where the hand was working again, and they let me out. We never really got a final story on what was wrong with me at that point, but I thought I'd be fine. And on the way home from the doctors, I got attacked by another spasm that had me pull over and just lay curled up in a ball in my car until the pain went away. And I maybe should have gone back to the hospital then, but I figured, no, I'm going home. I was tired of being in the hospital. I was there for 4 days or 5 days. I wanted to be done. And about a month later, um, the spasms just kept getting worse. I wasn't able to swim anymore. And then my legs died. They lost everything, and my other arm died. So I had one arm work, the other one didn't, and called emergency. Went to the hospital and spent a month at Silver Cross Hospital. Uh, and I guess I always figured I'd be fine because I'd never been in a hospital before. I figured I'd get out and I'd be walking again. I'd be fine. Things would come back. And then my second month was at a rehab facility where they were trying to get everything to start working again. Uh, they weren't able to do that as much, much at all. In fact, my legs still didn't work. My hand's still very crippled. My left hand is very messed up. My right one's messed up. My left one's very messed up. So I have different degrees of messed up. Uh, then my third month, the insurance companies said, we're spending too much money to keep them at this rehab facility, which has the robots and the equipment and everything that I needed. But to the insurance company, it was more important to them to save some money, so they put me into a sub-acute facility, which didn't have the resources. They did as great a job as they could with me, but it just didn't get much better. Um, and then I ended up coming home with it. Now here it is, nearly 5 years later, and I'm still paralyzed from the waist down. My internal organs are messed up from it, and my blood pressure that used to be well, I mean, my pulse is probably a better way to describe it. My pulse used to be 54, and now it usually runs in the high 60s and the 70s. Uh, I need some help from a third party to do bowel movements. I have to cath all the time because my bladder is screwed up as well. So I'm just messed up. And Mike thought that this would be a story that people would want to hear. They would want to hear what the shingles vaccine did to me. It's Shingrix. There are two different shingles vaccines. This was Shingrix, which was their much improved one. They got sued many, many, many times for their first one. And for this one here, they had like better than 90% efficiency with it, and they didn't have any competition. So it was easy for them to sell that to doctors and everything like that. And they're evil people, I can tell you. I think we all know Big Pharma is evil. Uh, I've had an attorney chasing them for 3 years now. The attorney, first we had to prove that this did that, which we did, and they accepted, and they accept liability. And then they wanted to know how screwed up I was. We sent them videos showing how, how I need a board to slide into bed, just what it takes for me to not be able to move. And then the third thing is how much it cost. What is it going to cost to get me fixed, or not fixed, but at least to have a decent life, be able to, a vehicle, that I could get into easy with my wheelchair. A lot of ramps around the house. I really can't get around into much more than about 4 different rooms in the house. I haven't seen my basement in 4 years. All my tools and everything are down there. I used to be very good with tools, and now I can barely handle a screwdriver. So I'm pretty messed up. I have been writing about it because I am a writer. I've written about a dozen books now. Most of them have humor in them. One doesn't, but even my contract law one has a lot of humor. I'm picking on attorneys a lot in it, and even some attorneys like the fact that I'm picking on attorneys. But anyway, I'm writing about it. I've written a whole disclosure of what happened to me, and haven't been able to sell that to a publisher yet. But I am still writing short pieces on it because I think I should warn people about it. That shingles vaccine is not necessarily safe. Now, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and that's another point that I made in some of my articles. I wrote why I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I think vaccines saved us from smallpox, millions of lives. I think it saved us from COVID. Many people could have died from that, and there's all kinds of conspiracies, but I choose to believe that it's not a conspiracy. But some people just can't be convinced of that. But I'm not going to try to convince anybody. But I did one. So I guess I'm doing this video in response to Mike's challenge, and then I'll maybe put some of my book related stuff on there. I'm still writing a lot. In fact, right now what I'm writing is a short story compilation of caveman and dinosaur humor, which I'm going to read one of them to you. So excuse me to looking from the side. This one is called Food, F-U-D-E. So I'm just going to start reading it now. The monstrous lizardy thing, also known as a dinosaur, also known as a theropod, also known as a Tyrannosaurus rex, crept along the line of foliage that filled up the space under the taller trees. It moved stealthily, fierce eyes probing past the chlorophyll-filled leaves. Then it saw what it was looking for. An Edmontosaurus, also a dinosaur, also known as a Hadrosaurus, or more commonly known as the duck lizard. The T-Rex froze, eyes on the Hadrosaur, its slit nostrils taking in the delicious smell of the plant-eating dinosaur. Then it moved quietly until it found a gap that would allow the immense creature to slide through the plants until it crept up behind the duck lizard. As it approached, the Hadrosaur turned and saw the carnivore snuck up on it. It was right on it, and there was nowhere to run. The Hadrosaur grinned with its weird flat bill mouth. "Oh, hi, eater. You're just in time." The T-Rex grinned too, its grin displaying nothing but sharp banana-shaped fangs. "Hi, food. Yeah, I just beat the Brontosaurus traffic." The duckbill turned its large body, similar in size to the T-Rex, until they were facing each other. The two dinosaurs had some similarities in that they were each about 40 feet long, but the duckbill's front arms were longer and it could walk on all 4 feet and stand on just its back legs when it was reaching for conifers or other food in the trees. The T-Rex didn't have that luxury as its arms were too short to even pick its fangs. I'm glad you made it, Eater, Food said. I know it's so weird for a plant eater and a carnivore to hang out together. Eater laughed. Yeah, I didn't tell anyone yet. I didn't want them to interfere. Food frowned. Me too. I didn't say anything to my foliage. Eater grinned. Is that what you call your tribe of plant eaters? Makes sense. We call ours a thunder or a roar. Yeah, that sounds right, Food said, nodding his flat beak up and down. So what are we going to do as we hang out? Eater asked. Food leaned over and gestured to a large number of nuts that were piled on the ground. I figured we could eat some of these first, then maybe play some games or something. Eater looked doubtfully at the nuts, but then he shrugged, bent over, and slurped up a handful with his long, sharp tongue. Food also lapped him up, crunching the nuts with the flat teeth at the base of its bill. Eater munched loudly at the nuts with his fangy teeth, a speculative look on its face. Not bad, it said after swallowing. Food's bill snapped with happiness. There's some fruit, too. Cool, Eater said. And you never eat meat? Food laughed and pointed at his back jaws. With these teeth? No way. The T-Rex nodded. You up for some games now? Food asked. The T-Rex tried to scratch his head in confusion, but his arms were too short, so it rubbed his head on the trunk of a nearby tree. Games? Food smiled a ducky smile. Yeah, games are something you play to amuse and challenge the intellect. I'm afraid I don't have much intellect, Eater laughed. Me neither, Food said, but I think we can both handle this game. The duck-billed dinosaur then pulled out some sticks and small rocks and showed a pattern it had sketched into the ground. Then the two dinosaurs played a game on the pattern. After playing for a while, they settled down and watched the fiery lava flow of a nearby volcano. As they sat together, listening to the sound of the waves from a neighboring sea, the T-Rex said, This is really nice. I never thought I'd enjoy hanging out with a plant eater. The billed dinosaur laughed and rubbed shoulders with the T-Rex. I'm sure no one thought this would be possible. They both laughed and watched the lava flow some more and listened to the waves. This is just so peaceful, Food whispered. Quiet, the T-Rex agreed. They sat some more. Then the T-Rex said, We're just missing one thing. Food looked at Eater quizzically. Oh, what's that? Meat, Eater said. Then he ate food. That's the end of the story. So it's fun to write that kind of stuff. I enjoy doing it. I'm going to throw this out onto the web. I don't know if anyone's going to care, watch it, or anything. But if I do get some followers, maybe I'll be persuaded to try it again. Otherwise, this will be my first and only one. And Mike can tease and prod and poke and push me all he wants to on that, and we'll see whether or not he can get me to do it again. But he's going to have to do his first. And meanwhile, really, I think Mike's is. I wish I knew how to poke you in the direction of what he's doing. He knows music in a way that I don't. I don't listen to words on songs. I can't. I'm not musical at all. I have none of that ability. He doesn't really on that, but what he does have is knowledge, and he collects a huge amount of music. He's sending me pictures all the time of all these albums and CDs and everything that he got, and I just go, when do you have time to listen to all that stuff? I mean, I'd rather be watching YouTube or writing a story, but that's his day. He likes his music. So anyway, I want to thank you for listening. I will point you to my website if you want to check out what I have in there with my books and pictures of me with other authors and things. So if you want to check that out, it's www.normcowie.com. That's Norm, NORMCOWIE.com. So I hope you check that out. I hope you check this out. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Hope you enjoyed my story. And tell Mike to leave me alone, okay? Thanks, everybody.